at 6:03 p.m. I'll start. Are we ready, Gina?
We're ready.
Well, good evening, everybody. How are y'all doing? Good to
Good.
see everybody. Hopefully we'll have one more join us because we have some business to take care of tonight to help lighten the load on leadership at the top. So I'm excited about that. So with that, we'll skip the acceptance of the meeting minutes from May 11th, and I'll take a brief moment to welcome Max and Molly, who are our new inclusion fellows that Dr. Epps just introduced us to. We're excited to have them here, so we'll thank them for joining us and for their anticipated help perhaps in the future. So welcome to both of you. As far as my update and report goes, I do not have too much. As you all know, Juneteenth and Pride are both coming up. So a lot of the work that Dr. Epps and I have been doing together has been centered around bringing the decisions we made here last time to fruition for those two respective events. Dr. Epps and I did have a meeting last week, yes, with the Athens-Clarke group as well as the Morton Theater to discuss the event there. Initially, we had talked about kind of Mr. Brett Smith speaking for, a bit. That has kind of transformed into more of a movie showing that will honor Mr. Belafonte, who recently passed away, with a couple of speakers at the beginning to kind of open up the historical relevance as to his work in the United States. So there were a few things that we did discuss in that meeting from my end that I'll just call out. One was that there might be a need for security. So with the hopes that one more person will join us tonight, we would just need to collectively as a body authorize us utilizing funds to cover that. Do we have another person? Well, then I'm going to break.
She broke one knife.
So what we're saying is let's start at 6:15. Welcome to Abby.
Don't be sorry.
And as a personal note, I appreciate the masks. My treatments right now that have me immunocompromised, so I appreciate y'all working with me on that. I know that it's kind of a throwback and never comfortable, but safety is important. Yes. Jamie, I was just letting folks know under my report that I met with Dr. Epps and the group at the Morton Theater to discuss that upcoming event. We'll be talking about some needs there and then just a little bit down on the action item list. But with that, let's revert back to in front of you, you have your May 11th meeting minutes. I trust and hope that everyone had a chance to review those, especially those who were absent last time. Were there any additions, changes, et cetera, from this body before we move to approve? All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the May 11th minutes.
I'll make a motion to
Motion
approve.
from Ms. Cogan and a second.
I'll say.
Second from Marcus. Hello. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor will say aye. And any opposed? And I see no abstentions. So with that, the motion carries. At this time, we'll entertain public comment on old business. I do not see anyone here to speak on old business matters. So with that, we will continue along to an update in our old business discussion regarding HRC swag for Pride and Juneteenth. And with that, Dr. Epps, I will yield to you.
Yes, so in the last meeting, during a special call, I believe, it was discussed the swag items, to purchase some stickers, for Pride and for Juneteenth themed. Those have been, purchased and are on the way. In addition, I do have some proofs of some swag items that do need to be approved. Fan wise, they're front and back on the fan, they're same copies. The fan wise for that, I know you all discussed about having a front and back option. However, with customized things like this, it would not be able to be front and back. Unfortunately, and with the time frame of it, it just would not be able to work out to be here in time. Understanding of what you all wanted, you wanted the brand on there, or the logo on there, which the only thing that is missing on that front side is just the human relations portion on there. We can put that, I can go back in and try to put that on there. Or you have the option of doing just the QR code with the human relations logo on the smaller that takes you to the actual page on our website. Now, those fans are the reusable fans where they do fold up. So you won't throw them away. They do go into your pocket and they have the plastic handle on them. That way they can carry it. It's more durable. They might be a little flimsy, don't really know. But if you do go with those for 500 of them, it will cost a total of $705. And based on that, they have about a 24-hour shipping, so they should be here in time for the first event on June 3rd. So you all would just need to really decide which one you wanted to go with. And then we can proceed. The drawing just has it as gray, but it is white. The background is white and the logo will be black. So you don't have to worry about that. Also in front of you, Megan, you can pass that around too.
Do you mind if I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we do the flag, let's just take a brief discussion on the fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, to clarify, the two different options were to have the HRC logo.
So there is no HRC logo. It's just the ACC Gov logo, but it would be the ACC Gov with Human Relations Commission under it or around it somehow. We would just figure out how to put that up there. Or you would use the QR, do the QR code design one.
Any other feedback on this, Megan?
A follow-up question. So is there a way to include the QR code? Can we have it all? Can we have like the ACC logo, Human Relations Commission, and then a smaller version of the QR code?
It would, it just, it would just depend on the capacity to do that. Now with the QR code, the ACC Gov logo and Human Relations Commission is on the inside of it. It is smaller on there, but we might be able to adjust it where it's a little bit bigger on there. And you can kind of see it on the back too as well on that sheet too. But yes, there could be a way that we could do all of that together, but I will say for the amount of time that we have, that might be the best option to go forward just for now. And then, just for now. And then once the new fiscal year kicks in, then you all can kind of decide if you want to go a little bit more extravagant. But
And we'll
those,
assign that back to committee
yeah,
where we can get on that now. In advance of upcoming events, I know we're going to be a part of, right? Good point.
so, so those are just some options that, for the sake of time would be, available right now to go forward with.
Megan?
I have noticed over the past couple of years how QR codes are really becoming quite a marketing strategy. I remember this one commercial that at first I thought was ridiculous, and it became actually the most popular commercial, one of the most popular commercials of the Super Bowl, where it's just a QR code that bounced for 60 seconds. My point in all of this is QR codes seem to be, based on the marketing I'm seeing, really popular. And so that leads me to really support just a fan of the QR code.
QR codes also have trackable data on the back end. We can know and gauge how many people are clicking, whereas just a general URL would not be as trackable unless we tag it on the end, which is a lot of difficult things to do. So good point there. Any other discussion on this, Danielle? I'll come to you next if there's nobody else that hasn't spoken yet. Okay, Danny?
Agree with the QR code. I think I would love to see Human Relations Commission anywhere on that fan, just as a part of what we discussed last meeting. So if there was a way, because you don't need the QR code to be this, I mean, it could be small enough to get that there, that I would love.
So like maybe make the QR code smaller and then Human Relations Commission arched at the top, something like that. So
Something like that, yes, just.
But just for time purposes now, the only option is the front or the back. We don't have time to change it, correct?
Well, I mean, based on that, we can try to do it and get it out tomorrow and see if that would be a possibility. But I know based on these things, if we move forward today, we can go ahead and place the order tomorrow and get it done back in time, but it is kind of.
Would that be something we have to take a vote on, or something that you and Cameron can say
You
on
would-
behalf of the body that this is what we?
So you would just make the motion to do that and then just add in there that, the chair would have the ability to approve it or.
So
He would
before we
have-
get to motion, good question, by the way. What I'm gonna do is call option one, the QR code option. Option two will be just the logo. So you can make a nomination for one with changes and then give the authority to the chair to make the final decision. So anyone who would like to make a motion could do that at this time.
I make a motion to, go with the changes that the body has made, and to be at the discretion of the chair and Dr. Epps.
Option one. Option one.
Yes.
Second still. Okay, all in favor will say aye.
I,
Sorry, Megan, did you have further discussion? I
No,
apologize.
thank you, no, that was,
I apologize. Okay. And any abstain or, no, okay, good. Great. Dr. Epps, next part, sorry.
Oh, I thought there was a whole nother person. So next in front of you, you have the proof of the banner, Pride banner. So you are, welcome for to add any comments or suggestions as to what you would like to see on the banner.
One thing I would like to throw in here, if we did get an initial draft that just had the rainbow colors, I did ask for us to go back and add in the Progress Pride flag, which just includes the colors of the trans flag as well as marginalized queer folks, black and brown marginalized peoples. So that's why you see the Progress Pride flag behind it as opposed to the traditional rainbow colors. So with that, we'll open this up for discussion.
my discussion, I thought it looks great.
You can't say that.
Great, yeah.
I was gonna say somewhere, thank you for, ensuring that that part was out of it.
And this ban is for the parade, correct?
The Pride Parade, I apologize, yes, which will be carrying as a marching group. Any feedback? Concerns?
Let's rock and
All
roll.
right, let's entertain a motion to approve the design of the Pride Parade banner.
Make that motion.
Will you say it, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the Pride flag banner.
And then we'll have a second.
I will second that.
Danielle, okay, all in favor will say aye. Any opposed? Rockin' and rollin', motion carries.
Looks so good, guys. Well,
And I'll yield back to you, Dr. Epps, unless that was the next piece.
No, I got one more.
Okay.
I got one more. Handouts. There was a proof of the handout marketing material regarding HRC. There is one blank annoying little space that I'm trying to, can you pass that over? To get rid of to the right at the very bottom that I'm trying to get rid of. But this is coming from the proof that you all had the same text and all of that. And it's just in a more graphically smaller size, if anybody has any suggestions as to anything else they would like to see on here, add on there, again, you have the QR code on there. That will take you to the website, but I am open to any type of suggestions on what you all would like to see on that handout. The handouts will be that size and on card stock.
Front and back or one side?
One side.
Can we do? front and back?
You can do front and back. We can do front and back, but we haven't decided if we're gonna go, hopefully we do have time to use our print shop here, which will cut down on the cost. If not, then we could probably do it ourselves, somehow, some way, but either way, we'll make some copies for it.
To clarify, what space are you trying to?
Right there where that finger is pointing, that white space, that white, yeah. So I don't know what to put there. I don't know what to put there. I've been trying to figure out what to put there. I could put some words or something, but
You might even center the QR code.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
we can center that.
Shift, yeah.
Yeah, we can center that and I can remove the finger and it's whatever. It doesn't really matter to me, but.
I like it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just really simplified what you all had before. I think it kind of covers who you all are, and for simplistic purposes as of right now, I think that would be good to help kind of get the word out. For now, and then again, it can go back to committee as well to think of other ways to market, but.
Before we dive into discussion, my note would be that this is a good start for our time crunch and that we could definitely send this to committee to revitalize. I think one thing that came to my mind when I first saw the draft was we need to do a better job of educating people on what to do in the case of a discrimination. Like, have you been discriminated against? Question mark. Here's what you do. That we are kind of missing on some of our materials.
You could put that on the back.
Maybe we could put that on the back.
Yeah, we can, that was another point on there that I did think about, if there was some way on there that the QR code goes to the website itself, but it could change to go to the actual complaint, PDF or something like that.
Can we have two QR codes, one on the front, one on the back?
Well, I would, go against that just for printing purposes. That's two different documents that would have to go in there, so cost purposes might be there. But it could be where the QR code is just replaced, but we do have the link to the website as well, somewhere on there, where they're both represented on that. So. But I could see if it does look better with two QR codes, so.
Maybe not from the next, Danielle.
Yes, it's kind of agreeing with you. If it was front and back, having two QR codes, sounds like that would be lovely. And just for consistency's sake, with the flag saying follow us on Instagram, I think that would be nice, maybe to kind of throw it up there, if that was, just so folks know where to start following us on social media.
Great point, the mayor.
I'm wondering if on the back, there could be kind of a know your rights, if that exists. I actually don't recall if, along with our non-discrimination ordinance, if there is any kind of language on know your rights, you have the right to file a discrimination complaint should so-and-so. So I'm thinking of that as, if that language already exists. If it doesn't, then we don't have time, I don't think. But if it does already exist, that could be good content for the back. If we have a QR code on either side, it makes sense to me to be specific about what each one does, so, there isn't a shrug off of one and a, exploration of the other.
Thank you. I don't think that list exists. So committee, please take note, and we'll come back to that later. Good point. Okay.
Confirm what you're saying, Megan. If we decide to include an additional QR code on the back, we would need to, I think we would need to revise the language, to say for more information about Human Relations Commission and below. And then on the back for more information about the discrimination, out of our complaint, yeah, scan here.
Okay.
Just so that we're clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I got a lot of nods while you were talking. Go ahead, Doctor.
so basically what I'm hearing is on the front, which I am in the document now, looking at it too, so we can do a front and back on it. If that's what you want, it'll still be the same header and all of that, and I'll center the I can center the QR code if that's what you all approve for the front side to keep the same information. And then on the back side, it'll still be in the same layout, but it will be more so on the ordinance. Would you all like a link to the ordinance, or you just really just use my best judgment and just put information there? So I think I'm hearing.
May be ineffective for a tangible document, unless you're on a computer.
Okay,
A link really is not gonna be beneficial. But if you can guide, like using maybe arrows to guide, ACC.gov, arrow, Human Relations Commission, arrow, to guide the person to where to find the ordinance. And the discrimination form,
gotcha. Okay.
complaint form.
More discussion from the body on this? No, Danielle?
Just to clarify, would there possibly be two things where there's a link, or not a link, but what you're saying, the arrow to the actual ordinance, which is tough to read for a lot of us, and then also a QR code for the form to fill out? Am I making sense? Or just,
I think both, right, is what you're saying, but a guide to how to get to the
How
ordinance
to get
and then a QR code that would take them to the process.
to the actual form and the process,
right?
got it. I was with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else with this? Well, with that, Barry, I'm gonna ask you to make the motion with your changes, because I think everyone pretty much nodded to you.
Okay, if I can recap that. I make a motion that we make adjustments to the front of the, handbill. To specify the language for how to find the Human Relations Commission website. And on the back, we need to, instead of including a link, include a guide with arrows for how to, and headers for how to fund the non-discrimination ordinance. And the QR code to direct them on where to find the form to fill out a complaint.
Great. Motion. Is there a second?
I said,
Okay, and may I ask you to edit your motion to, for final approval, for me to be able to approve that?
Yeah. I added the motion to include a final approval from our chairperson.
Thank you. Okay, that'll prevent us from having to do a special call meeting.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll make sure it's up what you say. Second is from. Sharon. Okay, okay, all right. That's good with me. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. All motions carried.
Great.
Okay, is that the final one there?
Yep, that was the final one for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr.
Great. Is this also a good time for you to just share our, because we're on the topic of, Pride and Juneteenth, our balances as it relates to expenditures?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
So I have I have shared the budget expenditures and all that with, your chair and everything right now. Upon the approval of the additional, money spent to Morton Theater, you all currently have spent $14,970 out of the $20,000 budget for Juneteenth. Remaining is $5,000 and $5,030 left. So just to give a quick update about some things, Morton Theater, upon your approval, that will increase the original budget, which was like $652, I think. Or the cost for Morton, it will increase to, I think, about $832 to use. Then for the Hot Corner Festival, we have started to acquire all of the items that you all approved for the Hot Corner. So the 2 industrial fans, we actually have those in-house. We were going to procure those outside, but because we have that is zero cost to you all.
Great.
So those are 2. We did do the 2 porta-johns, and they are altogether $150 to use. The misting tent, for some reason, no one here in Athens actually rents out misting tents. So we are in the process of acquiring a 10-foot by 10-foot, misting tent for $520. Your Juneteenth event coordinator, you all approved $12,750. Mayor and Commission also approved that recommendation as of last Tuesday. Your stickers and all of that and your custom fans, come out to about, $717. So that is your total expenses so far for Juneteenth. Again, that's $5,000 roughly left over.
And for the edification of the group, can you remind us that the balance remaining does not carry over?
Correct. It does not carry over. But I do not want you all to worry about not having the money go over, that it will, not be there. So it does not roll over. So if you don't spend it, then you just don't spend it.
It goes back to the reserve.
No, it just stays there. So this money is specifically set aside for Juneteenth. So that money will not be spent anywhere else. So it sits in leader services budget, but they won't be able to spend it on anything else.
But would we be able to use it again next year?
It doesn't roll over. So next year will be a new set of $20,000 if it is approved within this budget cycle, fiscal year cycle.
So the
Which-
discussion might be.
How do we spend it?
Yeah,
If we wanted to.
yeah.
That is-
However, with this $5,000, again, we do, our procurement, we cannot, just give it to direct people. This has to be within the purchase or procurement of items. So if this could increase items, that you are giving away at, these places, at tabling events and all of that, but you won't be able to give it to, multiple groups just to get rid of the money. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
But if we wanted to do an RFP for a grant style, we could do that.
When, this year?
this year.
No, we won't have time
Okay.
to do it.
Okay.
So question followed by a suggestion. Are we open for discussion?
We're open for
Okay, thank you. Do I remember correctly that uh, the people hosting the event are gonna have food vendors, right? Food will be provided by food vendors. However, I'm assuming that food will cost money. And so that, my suggestion that follows then is, one thing we could do, especially because these are summer events, and dehydration and low blood sugar is quite normal. So I was gonna suggest that we have, a water station would be my preference over water bottles, again, because of low waste if possible. A water station with maybe like those little paper cone cups or some such thing. And quick calorie snacks. So that could either be like granola bars, nuts, so things like that.
Are you talking about in addition to what was already approved by mayor and commission? So if you're talking about, if you're talking about what you're gonna be doing at the tabling event for a hot corner, that's what you could do. You could add to that, but it would not be able to give money to the event vendor specifically. So if you're talking about at the table, so you have the Pride Parade, but this money wouldn't go to the Pride Parade. It's specifically for the Juneteenth, which you have set aside. So you do have a tabling event. Right now, all you have at that table is tablecloth, your giveaways, and, your handouts. So if you're talking about having a water thing, if you want to do a water thing, you can add that in there. And we can look to see what we have, what would be the cost of that. But, that would be the only parameters that you would be able to spend any additional money. You would not be able to give money to any individual person. You can use it for the tabling event if you want to add more to the table itself.
May I ask, if it is an investment? I don't like that word, maybe. If it's a donation, not a grant, that's what I'm trying to get to. If it's a grant, like if we said we wanted to use that $5,000 to, in honor of Juneteenth, uplift Black-led nonprofits. Why couldn't we do that?
That is going against the gratuity
Okay.
laws within, Georgia.
The
So there's
the
gratuity,
government can't give grants to nonprofits.
you have to go through a process. So you can't just pick and choose who nonprofits that violate.
No, I'm not asking to pick and choose. I'm asking if we can put out a process that in honor of Juneteenth, maybe the process starts now and we don't award it till the end of summer, but because we're doing it in honor of a.
So what you would have to, so yes, you're talking about another type of RFP grant process, which is another process in itself to do. And if that's something that you all are looking into doing in the future going forward for next year, then I would say that those discussions need to start being had. But that would be, you're talking about money that hasn't been allocated.
So I wouldn't be violating the law in Georgia, correct, with me changing that to.
It would depend on what, we would have to sit down and think more so about those details because those procurement and gratuity laws, we are bounded by that. So grants, we have done those back in North Carolina, but here I would have to contact other people.
I would be curious to know, just in case we're in a position in the future where we have leftover money. That was just my idea. So we'll open it back up to the general body.
Question about that. If we were to pursue that and go through the process, being that the monies are allocated for Juneteenth, would we have a deadline for spending those funds? And I hear you saying to award at the end of summer. Would we be required to spend the monies?
Yes, you are bounded by the fiscal year.
Okay.
Which means,
So fiscal year is till June 30th, but purchases have to be in by like the end of May. Basically to do it, but you're more so, this is setting up to be more so like a RFP process again, which I do think if that's the route that you all want to go, is to set up another, think about, having staff, do another type of RFP process, if that is the route that you all are going. But again, I think that is something that you all have been advised of after this month goes by, June, this process, to sit back and kind of evaluate what has happened and then kind of devise that plan going forward. But that is sounding more so of a RFP and not I would stay away from saying a grant process, but more so of the RFP process to allow individuals to apply and then award funding that way, so.
Well, maybe we'll think about that for next year. Any other discussion?
Question about the tabling events that we're doing for Juneteenth. We're doing Hot Corner. Are we tabling at the second one that we voted on for June?
So Morton Theater, they are allowing to put handouts there. There's no, they're not doing a reception or anything. Doors open at, doors open at 5 o'clock. Yeah, doors open at 5 o'clock, seating to the auditorium opens at 5:30. During that time, there's handouts, pamphlets, but there's not gonna be like a reception with refreshments or anything. It's almost like a movie, so, they have like 15 minutes of trailers. So the showing itself probably will not start till about 6:15, 6:20. So you all are welcome to, there will be a table, we'll have the tablecloth set up, the Athens Together tablecloth there, with the handouts, HRC handouts there. But if there's something else that you all want to go on that table, we can. We would just need to know what you want on that table. Say what?
Additional Juneteenth swag.
Okay, you would just let me know which ones you want, if it's more stickers or something else there, you still have that $5,000 to utilize there.
Let's hold off on this discussion until new business, just because we're gonna be discussing increasing spending already for some things they've requested of us. So we'll, I promise we'll get to that in just a moment. Danielle, do you have a final word?
No, not.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Epps. Appreciate that. Public comment on new business. I do not see anyone here, but as the public is listening, we always encourage you to join us if there's something you want us to hear about. One thing that we needed to discuss in item number 1 under new business was a bylaws discussion and revision. And at this time, I want to take a brief moment to thank Ms. Curry, Tamika, for serving as our vice chair in our inaugural time. It was a very tough time, right? A lot of things going on, a lot of moving and shaking parts. So if y'all don't mind giving me appreciate your service to the county and to this body as well. With that, one thing that we saw is that in our bylaws, it states, and I should have pulled this up right in front of me, but it pretty much says that in the event that the chair resigns, the vice chair then becomes the chair, and then we elect a new vice chair. What we learned in the process with working with Tamika was that, well, what if the vice chair just wants to stay as vice chair and allow a new chair to be elected? I think that's something worth considering by all of us. I think it's not something we have to decide on tonight, but just wanted to have some general discussion around what that might look like.
Question.
Yes.
Is there anything in the bylaws stating that the vice chair will succeed the chair next term?
No.
I like the idea of the language holding, I guess, prioritizing the vice chair, moving forward into the chair position if they choose, but then the change being that they have the option to not do so. So it's,
Upon the resignation or removal of a chair, the vice chair has the option to assume the chair role or remain. Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm getting at.
That's good.
Mhm.
I see a lot of nods.
Yeah.
Did you have something, Jerry?
No.
Oh, anybody else?
I have a clarification
Yeah.
moment after asking, chair, in this situation, when Darius was the young man that was equally voted, and then I raised the question, does the bylaw say anything about a second vice chair? Is there, and someone said, no, that's not what the bylaw says, and this. Is there a way that constitutionally can be changed? Because there are some models where you have, president, chair, vice chair, second vice, and then the rotation is between the systems of the vice to give everybody the equal opportunity as they desire. Is that possible?
It's something we can certainly look into. I could ask staff to look at what some other bodies have done in regards to that.
Okay,
I do always like transparent elections.
Right.
So I think that's a good one.
right,
I think per Robert's rule, we can't have two vice chairs. I think it has to be
It would be a vice chair, so that's,
It would-
And then like
Yeah.
a secretary, but I think because Gino is our secretary, we don't have that.
In this model.
Yes.
Yeah.
there can be a second vice chair, it's just, it's not. It's not like there are not two vice chairs, it in and of itself is a title, second vice chair.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Right.
but
Sorry. when-
love your
Yeah,
Robert
that's
Rule
what
of
it
Order
does.
call out there. Thank you, Chair. Do y'all want to just, let's table this and discuss it at the next meeting? Do we want to send it to committee for review? We are going to still move forward with the election of a vice chair because it is imperative that we have someone in that role. With my sickness going on, we just need to make sure that someone is able to step in
I move that we vote on that change to the bylaws
tonight.
evening, if there's no further discussion. I think most of us feel okay.
May I have a point of inquiry from staff? Can we go ahead and make that decision tonight, or should it go out to the public before we make that decision? In next month's agenda,
For the change in the bylaws.
correct?
So within the bylaws, you all have privy to change the bylaws.
At any time.
By majority vote.
Thank you for the clarification.
We're still discussing this.
We're still discussing.
It seems like a non-problem to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't anticipate this happening all the time, and it seems like if it does, we're totally capable of doing what we did this time and just kind of rolling with it, but yeah.
And just for a point of clarification, are you saying make a vote based off of what Daniel said? I'm sorry, not Daniel, Megan said?
I'll be calling for a motion, yes, so we'll entertain a motion now. You can remake it.
Oh,
We can just say
Understood, and thank you. I make a motion that we amend the bylaws to say that the vice chair may continue on to chair, or also may have the option to remain vice chair. More eloquently put, of course.
I
second. Second?
I
Oh, you second, sorry, Danielle. All in favor? Any other? Okay, great. Well, that was easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, we will do now that was a throwback, wasn't it?
Chair, I have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when it reflects in the bylaws, do you want staff to go ahead and make that, change in there and then send it out for everyone to sign? Or is everyone on board? Because I do know the bylaws before, we did not have everybody's signatures on.
Let's do this. Let's have staff make the change, and then at our next meeting, get signatures.
Gotcha.
Is that good with y'all?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So with that, we'll move on to number 2 on new business, which is the election of a vice chair. One thing that I want to first of all say is, I know this has been a tough time, like we have all discussed. We've been learning, growing, and there are growing pains when you're a new group coming together. But I think that the vice chair's role is very important. It's not just about stepping in when I can't be here, but there's also a level of trust among the body in that person. They can help facilitate conversations both here and in committee. And I did send out an email earlier this week, just asking who might be interested in the role. Because I think one thing that happens is when we get in this room, people get nervous, right? Or people don't want to challenge someone else. And I always want to remind you that elections are not about challenging, they're about service. So there's nothing wrong with having 2 or 3 people that might be interested in something come forward. So that's a good thing. It inspires discussion in one another and in the issues that we have at hand. So with that in mind, I'm just going to let me know they have interest, confirm that they still have interest. We'll let them speak to why they might want to serve as vice chair. And then entertain any nominations as well. Is that good with you all, that we do that? Okay. So with that, the first person who emailed me with interest was Marcus Howard. So I will turn it over to you and let you speak to why you would like to be vice chair.
Yeah. After being on the Human Relations Commission since we were meeting in the Windows House, I think we've gotten an understanding of what we're here to do. As I like to do, I like to sit back and listen for most of my time to really get an understanding of everyone and understanding of what we're here for. And I feel like I've reached that point at this point now, but also I have a background in event planning. That is my current job. And I feel like that's what a lot of we do here. But also, I do know a lot of Robert's rules and, the parliamentary procedure, so that is an interest of me as well, and being able to fill in when our chair is not here.
The second person was Danielle. If you still are interested, you can go ahead.
I'm definitely interested in participating in, the Human Relations Commission. However, Robert's Rules of Order is definitely not my forte, and I will bow down to anybody who has an interest and can tackle it like you have done so well.
So that be withdrawal of your.
I will withdraw, absolutely. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that is interested in serving in the vice chair's role? We also will entertain nominations from the body at this time too. And I will nominate Marcus for vice chair.
Can I second?
Yes.
Sweet.
Can I say that?
All in favor of the election of Mr. Howard as our vice chair of the Human Relations Commission will say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? I see none nor hear none. Congratulations, Mr. Howard. Thank you for stepping in.
You're welcome.
And thank you again for your service.
Thank you.
With that, one thing I'm going to try to do at every meeting, about 15 minutes out from us being done, is we need to hear from our committees, and we need to determine how work is going in those, what updates we need to bring back to the body, and have more accountability as to what is happening in the committee rooms. I think we've done a lot of event planning at this point, but we've got to get to this nitty-gritty of the work we've been tasked with doing. So, with that, I will yield to each committee for updates, and I will also be reaching out to you if I don't do it while we're sitting here about some things that we need to get moving on. So with that, the policy recommendation subcommittee, which I think is actually reads as recommendation policy subcommittee, but I feel it should be flipped. I don't know. It feels like it's in the wrong order with recommendation policy, but I'll turn over to Megan in standing in for Tucker tonight. And I did that starting with letter C, but that'll be okay.
You gotta shake it up sometimes. You gotta interesting. All right, you all. So, for those of us who, were not, on and therefore present for the subcommittee, principally what we did, we spent our time brainstorming what sorts of policies we could start with. So these are either topic areas or more specific policies. And so what Tucker asked me to do essentially is share the list, that, he went around the table and had each commissioner share what they might like to have on the list. And that was compiled. So, gender inclusive, accessible facilities within ACC Gov, which, that is something that is already being worked on by, the Government Operating Committee. But that is something that we, as subcommittee would very much like to see. Equity in the distribution of and or access to government funds. So this is the procurement process and seeing more accessibility come to fruition there. Special events policies, application processes for job applicants and for vendors. Supplier diversity policy, addition of baby changing stations to all government facilities. And I would just like to add, that is, as we are looking to have gender inclusive bathrooms, and that means that all the facilities would have changing tables, so we would be getting away from in the women's bathroom, right? Review of policies that are under consideration for revision by the MNC. So the hope to be strategic and collaborative, which is in our ordinance to do, collaborate with where's the MNC going and how can we, find policies to, go in sync with what they're working on. Amending the NDO to include size as a protected class. Language accessibility and inclusivity policies, a land acknowledgement. Just a few more, ACC Gov drug-free workplace policies, policies regarding unhoused people on government property. And SOPs for government response to extreme weather, example being that this last winter, there was that cold snap and there was no process in place for vulnerable populations who were stuck out in the cold. So now that we're entering the summer season, ensuring that those are in place. So following, also to give you an idea of the dialogue we had a substantive, beg your pardon, substantive discussion with Dr. Epps about which policies fall under the purview of the HRC and which do not, as well as what kind of communication between the subcommittee and the MNC is permissible.
MNC being,
Mayor and Commission, thank you very much. And to just flesh that out a little bit, Dr. Epps was telling us that internal government operations is not within the purview of HRC. So for instance, if the sexual harassment policy for government employees is not very well fleshed out, that is not our purview to make that sexual harassment policy better. Secondly, while we are to collaborate with the mayor and commission, the idea of individual commissioners from HRC sitting down with individual legislative commissioners is considered politically inappropriate. However, an update on that, we do, Mayor Gertz would be willing to come meet with either the full body and or the policy subcommittee so we can have an appropriate conversation to collaborate. So our intention for the next meeting is to decide which topics to pursue first. And then it's Tucker's update.
thank you. One thing I'd like to take a minute to do here before we move to the next committee is, any general feedback from this body on those topics for the subcommittee. And or any policy areas that you would like for the subcommittee to take a look at as they're meeting and working through this. I would like to remind you that based on the policy, the non-discrimination ordinance itself, our work here is to, make sure the government is free from all forms of discrimination, but specifically based on actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, ancestry, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, disability, marital status, familial status, and or veteran/military status. So just keep those protected classes in mind for now, that we won't talk about what it might look like to expand those in the future. That's what we're tasked with right now. So if you had any, thank you, Dr. X, any discussion on things you might not have heard Megan say that you would like for the subcommittee to take back and think about, or any call outs on the topics she mentioned.
I am one of those people who do not retain much, verbally. If there was any way just to peek at a written list of what y'all are working
I
on.
can hand you my phone right now.
Or, yeah.
Maybe moving forward for
Moving
meetings,
forward.
I'll have these displayed as well.
Yeah, even that would be helpful. I apologize. It's just
No,
how I retain things with it.
they all polish the way your brain works.
It is the way my brain tries to work.
There's about a 1 minute setting on the screen, so you might speak a couple times.
But we can also just continue on.
Yeah, well, maybe the better place to start is any topics you did not hear on this list, policy related, that you would like for the subcommittee to take a look at, find out if it's in our purview and what we might be able to do. Sounds like I might have made a good list. Well, I forget.
It is very.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Heck, yeah.
And what we'll do is, as this committee continues to meet and starts moving towards some policy recommendations, obviously anything that leaves that committee still is subject to the approval of the entire body as well as discussion. So don't think that even if you aren't on that committee, you won't be involved in the process moving forward. Any questions for policy recommendation? Great, thank you, Megan, standing in tonight. Let's see. Unlawful discrimination subcommittee, Brandon is absent. Is there anyone else from that committee who can speak on any updates?
I think I'm the only one in that committee and.
Yeah, I missed that other meeting before I. The last meeting, we didn't have quorum, but we have received the non-discrimination ordinance, and we plan to dissect that at our next meeting.
Okay.
Not the word.
Great. Keep us updated on how we can support you as a full body. Thank you. And then last but not least, I believe we have no leader of this committee perhaps yet, but anyone from the community outreach subcommittee wish to speak.
I concur with whatever you're about to say.
I think you just might have elected a leader, right?
What is it about the Sharon? All right.
Just send it in, the email to the senders of transition. We had not had a physical meeting.
Go ahead, Ms. Sharon, you got it.
The update from the community outreach subcommittee is that we have not had a meeting since Julia has left, except for unless you would like to count the special call meetings that we had in regards to. So you are all up to speed, pretty much with where we are at. Especially kind of Dr. Epps and all the work that you've done to get us prepared for the events.
Great job. One thing I would ask of this committee is as we meet between now and our next meeting, I think since we've established what we're doing for Juneteenth and Pride, it might be a good time to start looking at community calendars for events upcoming for the rest of the year that we might want to be involved in. So I'll send that back to y'all. Thank you. And hopefully we'll have a chair next time.
Is this a good time for a discussion question?
Sure.
Okay. I took the opportunity this week to review our ordinance. And one of the things that I saw in the, content again and again was, having the community conversations. And so just a clarifying question, is the community outreach subcommittee not only looking at calendar of events, but is it also about setting up community and true curiosity here, not a leading question? Is it also about, setting up opportunities for community conversations? Or identifying, community leaders to invite in for our education, et cetera.
To speak to that, I would say that is ideally what we would like to be doing. I personally feel like we got really kind of caught up in the June events. And haven't, once we kind of have solidified what's going on with everything in June, we'll have a minute to get back together and determine calendar events moving forward. Some space in between to then make that space for community members to come and vocalize what they would like to see. And yeah, I don't know, anyone else like to speak to it on the subcommittee?
I'm good.
I should say that it occurs to me that that's a lot of work for you all, and I trust in, you know, your skills and abilities. Is that something that do you all want all of those items as a subcommittee? Do you want the rest of us as a full body to in any way take some of that? I mean, events is big in of itself, so events, community conversations, town halls, community leaders, that is a lot for a subcommittee, so will you let us know if that's something that you all want to remain within your scope, or if you want us to do anything?
I have a feeling that once we get into it, we'll be presenting back and saying, this is something that might need to get peeled off to another situation committee or what have you, but we're not gonna know until we have that time to sit and kind of suss out what that looks like in any calendar month or year.
We are here for you.
Appreciate that.
Great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for responding. Any other discussion from committees or related to committee assignments? Okay, the last two things we have, I'm gonna try to make through it kind of quick here, is just be on the lookout in regards to item number 4 about our upcoming events, both the parade and Juneteenth. We will need to have people to walk in the parade and to table the said events. I don't think that's something we have to officially decide as a board right now. But we can send out an email and get people to sign up. Is that okay with you, Dr. Epps, to do it that way?
Yes, but we would need to know very soon,
Right.
so we know who to get, items to.
I'll send that out tomorrow, a sign up for that, for all the upcoming events, if that works for you.
Brother Chair, point of clarity,
Yes,
can someone remind us what the quorum for the subcommittees, because we've lost a member?
There is no
There's no quorum.
so there isn't quorum, so you cannot meet, so for subcommittees, you cannot meet the quorum of the main group. So if you're on the subcommittee, as long as it does not exceed quorum of the main body, you are able to meet. But if you want to have, decide how many people you all want to have in the room out of the committee to be able to make decisions from subcommittee, that is up to you, but there isn't any governing bylaws that says in order to make something within subcommittee, it needs this many people, because there is no quorum for subcommittees.
Okay.
so we're 2 or 3 are gathered.
Yes, as long as it does not match the quorum for main bodies you are.
And that might help you all too with your,
Yes,
if two of you can meet, go ahead.
we're good.
Good?
We're good.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for your point.
Thank you.
And the last item on the agenda tonight is, approving the, covering costs of the security for the Juneteenth event at the Morton Theater. This is just something that came up in Dr. Epson, I's meeting with the team there, something they would like to have just with all the climates, the negative climates out there around our marginalized populations. It is important to note that the federal government has increased our security warning as it relates to marginalized communities. I would encourage you to look those up and stay abreast on what those mean for us. So, one thing I'll note is, I believe, and Dr. X, correct me if I'm wrong, is that this would be a uniformed Athens-Clarke County police officer that we would be authorizing the funds to pay for, who is off duty, right? So that's why they're being paid. And I'll yield to Dr. X for that dollar amount.
Yes, I believe it was 180. It's $40 an hour. I believe that's what I could be wrong there as far as how much it is an hour, but it is a 4-hour shift. So they would be coming in at 5 o'clock and staying until 9. So I do believe the grand total was between 160 and 180. That would be the additional amount that would be needed to, pay for that.
This is out of the 5,000, is that correct?
Yes, that is still out of that Juneteenth. So the figure that I had told you already was already including that proposed increase there. So you still, yeah.
Did you have another?
No, it's just a motion. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah. I make a motion to approve covering the cost of the security for Juneteenth at the Morton Theater.
Motion by Rennie, second by Tamika. All in favor, I'll say aye. Any opposed? Great. Okay, any announcements from the general body?
Not an announcement, but if possible, can we go back to one of the discussions regarding the $5,000?
Yeah, that's where I'm headed after announcements, yeah.
Then no announcement.
Cool. Well, let's go back then now. We have $5,000 that has been left over from the Juneteenth bucket that, as we found out, cannot carry over to next year and would either need to be spent, this calendar or fiscal year, or it would just sit there. So, any ideas about what we might be able to do with that, keeping in mind that our ideas have to be able to withstand the time frame that we are looking at? Go ahead.
I like Megan's idea about adding, water, adding other things to the table, at Hot Corner, because as of right now, we have some fans and some stickers and then the flyer, but that would actually help draw people to our table. And if we were to do like a sign up sheet just to build a database, if we wanted to have a database, then that would also help. So
I love that idea. My only question is, how many candy bars reaches $5,000? Like, are we gonna only spend $100 on water and candy for 200, and then we still have about 5,000 left? Go ahead.
I was at the ACC employee fair, and the water department, they had some giant water tank with the little paper cups. It was like a giant wall of water or something.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we could rent that from them or borrow it from them and have it behind or around our tent.
Good idea. Who else? Danielle?
Well, I know you had mentioned, Dr. Epps, that there are no water missing places in Athens. You're trying to look and they seem kind of expensive.
Yeah, so there is a misting tent that is being ordered that will be there. So that'll just be the cool off station, but yeah, that's it.
Well, it seemed like a big bucket item, and I don't know if it made sense to have 2 of those. They seem 10 by 10 foot, but if it did, that's 500 and something that we could additionally have an additional missing area at Hot Corner, because that's a big event. Just a thought instead of
I'm happy that's fine. Who else, right?
Let's throw in some sunscreen, y'all. Well, sorry, always thinking about waste, because I just go nuts with the amount of waste at festivals, but, is there, are there industrial size sunscreen things that people could like
Just pump.
pump them? Is that a thing?
I'm sure it is, if that's something that we want at the tables.
Okay. I'd love to see an industrial tub of sunscreen. That'd be cool. Pump it right away.
Like a dunk tank, that's something. Sorry.
It's like a ball pit, but sunscreen is very good.
So if we said, I'm just cheating back now, 500 for snacks, water, tabling supplies, expansion. So that still seems like a lot of money for that.
And I'm just gonna add here, I just don't want you all to think that you have to spend all the money is gonna look any type of way. It's not, I think everybody is aware at this point, that you all are new. This is the first year of doing all of this, and then I don't think you all just need to not try to spend all the money just to get rid of the money. The money will be here. Hopefully next
So then
year.
instead of setting a dollar amount, we can say,
Yeah, if you wanna add, if you wanna add to it, then that's fine, we'll spend it. I think you all did a really good job already to be able to allocate $15,000 to do something out of the very first year, And then you can use this as a stepping stone for next year to understand, okay, well, we know how much this costs, we can up it here, this many people. Because what you don't wanna do is you don't wanna spend the money and then you don't have the turnout that you have all this excess stuff left over. So if you wanna add to it, we can certainly go ahead and add to it. We can get little small things to kind of spruce up that table. We can, but I don't want you all to think we have $5,000, we have to spend it all. We can add to it and then whatever is left, that is just what is left and.
yes, I'll come back to you.
I do think that maybe adding the extra missing tent for Hot Corners, since that is a huge event, that could be helpful. Just being a citizen and have gone to Hot Corner and know that the turnout will be there for that, so it wouldn't be expected to not be using it. And then possibly just adding other things to fill up the table.
And,
Sorry.
No, I'm taking a lot of the floor, so Danielle, I hope you go next.
I apologize, but that's why I brought up the Morton Theater event.
Mhm.
Would we also just be able to get waters for that? Does that need to be stated separately, or do we not need water outside
So-
of the Morton Theater?
So they're not doing refreshments, but the organization itself, however, Morton Theater, the pharmacy does have the right to sell concessions there, but we do not know if they will be doing concessions at that moment. So if we did do water, that's something that would have to be approved by Morton Theater. But if it's something like giveaway items that you wanna put there additional, you can. So we'll just need to up it before, then the thing is, we haven't ordered them yet, so.
Thank you.
Would we be able to, is it within the, would it be okay, essentially, to use the money to pay people to run the table? So for instance, could we recruit some high school youth to run the table and pay them? Okay, no, all right. Oh, I was like $25 an hour, run the table.
No, you wouldn't be able to pay.
So it sounds like the general consensus might be that we just want to increase our supply of things like snacks, water, candy at the table. Do we want to increase like,
For anything HRC specific, that might not be Juneteenth or
right?
just all of it. I apologize, I'm not sure.
For clarification, did we order the bracelets as well, or did we just order stickers?
Just stickers.
Would that be a good bonus to add, or do you think time table-wise that it wouldn't arrive?
No, that's not on Amazon. We can get that.
I'm having trouble remembering all the designs. Are these designs that we could reuse year after year? I would hate to buy a bunch of swag, but then we just.
Yeah, they were just Juneteenth branded
Okay.
items. That's it. They don't have a date or
We
anything.
could add the Pride bracelets and Juneteenth bracelets as well.
I couldn't find the 5,000.
Oh, right.
I say that's fine. If you don't want to order some more bracelets, I mean, if you want bracelets, we can add that on. What do you think?
I prefer no, just because of thinking of waste. And I know some people enjoy bracelets, but I don't think that, I don't see people wear bracelets for very long. That is anecdotal, but I think those bracelets would be things that would end up in the trash fairly soon. So that's my preference, not to do the bracelets.
Do we have any that we're gonna order, or is that what you're talking?
Well, yeah, we, at the special call meeting, the committee brought the bracelets that they had decided that should be voted upon, but we voted on the stickers.
We removed the bracelet from approval at the last meeting, like it was not on the final approvals.
But we didn't know about the $5,000 excess as
Yeah,
well.
some kids, I mean, some people like braces. If it's a moderate amount, not 5,000. 250, you know. like-
Yeah.
I think they were a 500 pack, is that correct? Yeah, maybe 500.
Yeah.
And another idea, I thought was squishy ball. You can find,
Stretch
squishy
ball.
balls with.
Stretch ball.
With the Juneteenth. Flag or something.
Listen, I think, for me, I'm more interested to see the impact of how people are gonna gravitate. You know, because of the interest of what we're trying to do. It's gonna be
People
hot.
love free stuff.
Yeah, people like each other. It's gonna be hot, the water mist, it's gonna be real important.
Yeah.
And, you know, hydration and just see how this thing, you know, works out.
One moment. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think I just wanna, return to highlighting what Dr. Epps was saying, that we don't need to spend all the money. And so I guess I wanna be, very thoughtful and intentional, like, if we spend the money, do we have a good reason for spending it? So I know this all comes out in the vote, but I guess I would just encourage us not to spend money to buy objects because we can. If you all think that it truly will have an impact on the work that we're trying to do, then I'm very open to that discussion, but if we're burning dollars to buy toys that many will throw away, maybe not all, but many will throw away, then I don't see a utilitarian purpose in that, but I do see a negative environmental impact in that.
So with that feedback, we're gonna go ahead and move to make some decisions here. Thank you for your feedback. What I have heard is an increase in water or providing water, snacks, candy at the Hot Corner Festival here in this bucket. And then 500 Juneteenth bracelets, in this bucket. So, someone can make a motion for whatever they choose, and I'll recognize Mr. Vice Chair, because I saw your hand first.
I make a motion to, increase swag items for Juneteenth, including bracelets and, snacks, including water. And then, I don't know, maybe the missing tent, if seen.
Oh, right, and the missing tent. I apologize for the extra missing tent.
See people.
Okay, so the motion, and is there a second?
Second,
Any further discussion on this?
Just make sure we have some healthy little bars, kind bars.
That's what I was thinking.
Something healthy. Not the
And I'll
candy.
make sure to get.
Kind bars are excellent, yeah. They won't melt.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah.
And I,
Another comment.
Also for the options where it doesn't have nuts in it, obviously.
yeah,
Good point.
Robert's rules, when does a amended or revised?
you can make a substitute motion. The substitute motion will be voted on first before the original motion. If it fails, it reverts back. Correct me if I'm wrong, to the original motion.
May I make a substitute motion? I make a substitute motion, that we, from the 5,000, we buy healthy snacks, look into a large water distribution container, another misting tent. Yes,
So everything minus bracelets.
everything minus additional swag.
Okay, is there a second on that motion?
A second.
Okay, there's a second on that motion. So what Robert's Rule of Order says is we will vote on the substitute motion by Megan first. If that motion fails, we will revert to the original motion by Mr. Howard. All right. So all in favor of the motion, less Juneteenth bracelets, raise your hand. And all opposed to the substitute motion.
That's what she just.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we doing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it carried with the majority.
So we'll proceed without the bracelet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other announcements or questions, concerns?
Excuse me, did we do that right?
That's what I was thinking.
No. I thought we were,
But no,
The subsequent vote.
but what was your statement? Your statement was confusing, that the vote was to amend the price?
To approve her substitute motion less, which is a motion that was the exact same without the bracelet order.
they want to omit.
Oh, no, I didn't, no. That, the language confused me. I thought we were amending to see if we were gonna do. Wait a minute, how did the motion were you not making?
So, yeah, I made the motion, but before we take a vote,
That was a opposed,
suppose
okay.
to amend my motion, so, and there a second, so then we take a vote on her motion. And if her motion failed, then mine would carry.
That's right.
She's thinking the same that I am thinking. Did
I don't know.
did it not fail?
Okay, but yeah, I'm confused, how many were for and against, because I looked.
Okay, we'll retake a vote.
Okay.
You can always ask.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Restate your motion.
I make a substitute motion that from the $5,000, we buy healthy snacks, a large water disposal or water container, and a second misting tent. This substitute motion, does not include additional swag.
And it was seconded by James Mel. So all in favor of the motion on the floor, which is for all the items less swag, say aye or raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, which is what it was last time. Thank you. And all opposed. 1, 2, 3, same as last time. Any,
You didn't vote.
oh, I'm abstaining.
Oh, you're saying. Oh, okay, because I thought you would raise your hand last time. It's still past 5-4.
Yeah. It was the same, minus my not voted this time.
Sorry.
Any, did that help?
Why did you abstain?
I have that right as a voting member of the body to abstain. If we were taking another vote,
Oh, but the first time you,
I voted.
okay.
First time,
Yeah.
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 I know the right, but I was just trying to,
Yeah.
the purview, why, okay.
Thank you. Any other feedback? So with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Second from Ms. Miller, all in favor? Thank you.
No, was he not doing else?
Yeah. I was, yeah.
I apologize.